Call hello, �H𝐌𝐈𝐓𝐄𝐒. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well over the flock. Shalom and salutation to all you brothers out here pushing the words of truth and sincerity. Shalom to all the elect listening. Shalom. All right, so I'm going into some prophecy concerning America. I'm just going to keep hammering at America through the Spirit and teach what I know as I've been taught it. So this is Revelation 17. And we're going to start at 12. It says, in the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet. So this is talking about the EU. All right. When you go into the history of the EU, and sometimes they even add this inside the commentary about the 10 horns being the EU. Just to see what they're saying, let me check what they got here. All right, 10 horns. I see Eliot's commentary. They're not saying anything about EU. Not saying anything about what it is. Pulpit commentary, 10 horns. They're saying that it's the horns from Daniel 7. That's correct. But they're not telling you what it is. You go to a little more commentaries and you just be hard pressed to find some straight answers about what the 10 horns is. All right, here it is. They tell you here, in the parts of the Roman Empire, I'm looking at the mayors on the right commentary, in the parts of the Roman Empire. So they're close. At least they could see the connection between the 10 horns and the Roman Empire, because this is the last leg of the Roman Empire, as our apostles always say. All right, but they're not specifically saying anything about the EU. Rome, they're saying that it belongs to Rome, which it does. It's the Roman Empire because the Roman Empire broke down and came back again. This one, and they came back again through America and through the EU. All right, through that structure, Edom's new power structure on earth. It says this expositor is Greek. It says the campaign of Nero and the vassals. Nope. Nobody here of all this commentary. Maybe this commentary is too old, but the EU came about in 1958, I believe. Right around that time, that's when the EU was established. That is the 10 horns. The EU began as, this guy's talking about the Antichrist, which there is no Antichrist. There's, throughout the scriptures, you're not going to find the Antichrist. There's many Antichrists. That's somebody who is against the anointed, against the Lord. So there's no what they call it, the day of the Antichrist and the day of the I forget the other word, where people are going to be basically taken up before the destruction happens and whatnot. All right, I forget the word, but let's go on. So I'm looking through all this commentary and I'm just not seeing anything about the EU. So let's go back. Let me see if I could get this right. Treaty of Rome. Okay, so this ain't working right now. Try that again. Yeah, that's just not working because I'm recording. So, going back to the scriptures, Revelation 17 and 12. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings. When you go into the history of the EU, they pretty much came into power with starting with 6 countries, then they went to 10, then they went to, I don't know, they maybe in their 20s now. All right. And so this is referring to the kings of the EU, the different EU, European Union nations coming together. They started with treaty. It was called the Treaty of Rome, I believe. In around 1958, they was established, and they went from, even the German Chancellor Merkel has been quoted saying, what started out as think tank maybe, or just a conglomerate of members will one day possibly govern the world. So the EU was given power. Let's read on. It says, in the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet. So were in the time when they received their power, because they received it in the 50s. That's when they actually put it together in writing and became a unit and have power now. It says, which have received no kingdom as yet, but received power as kings 1 hour with the beast. Now the beast is NATO, North American Treaty Organization, who is a conglomerate of military powers, also based mainly in Europe. And so the two factions here, EU and NATO, are going to be combined as one in these end times. They're just going to work together as one. That's what it means, having power 1 hour with the beast. So you got the 10 horns and the beast now working as one, NATO and the EU. These have one mind, so they're all going to be operating the same on one accord. And shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. 𝐻𝐌𝐈𝐓𝐄𝐄, who is the Lamb, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, is coming back a second time, a so-called black man. He's coming back to deliver his people and to be crowned King of Kings. So he's coming back to take the earth. Okay? The war is going to be fought in heaven. So you got their Star Wars programs, you got their militaries, you got NATO against the chariots of the Lord. Who you think is going to win? I know the Lord is going to win this one. Why? It says, and the Lamb shall overcome them. So that's going to be a flawless victory, as you say in Mortal Kombat. For he is Lord of Lords and King of Kings. Yeah, he's coming back for that crown. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. All right, so he's coming back not just by us alone. Not just alone. He's coming back with a host of angels with him. That's where all these spaceships is being seen. That's why these UFO encounters are starting to rise, because the cat's out the bag. The Lord is coming back with his army to fight against the beast and set up and establish an eternal kingdom on earth. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the horse sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Now, America is the whore sitting on the waters. The waters is the mixed multitude in the melting pot, which is in America. All these different nations. That's why it tells you that. America is also, I believe, part of NATO right now, but NATO's going to outcast America. How do I know that? Read on. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. So we talking about EU turning against America. It says, and shall make her desolate and naked. And remember, she's going to rule 1 hour with the beast, one mind. So NATO is going to be turned against America as well. One mind. It says, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For Yahweh hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will. Talking about the Lord's supreme will over everybody else's will. There is no your own will. The Lord's will supersedes your will any day of the week. It says, until the words of Yahweh shall be fulfilled. What is that? As above, as on earth, so in heaven. As in heaven, so on earth. Meaning peaceful, meaning in order, meaning light, meaning wisdom, knowledge. And the woman which thou sawest in that great city, which when you go into the word citizen, which we're all under the Amendment 14, considered United States citizen if you were born or naturalized in the U.S., the word citizen, going back, means city or city dwellers or citizens of this great city, America. So it says, and the woman which thou sawest in that great city, which is America, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. So America will be destroyed by its allies, NATO, EU. Habakkuk 2 and 15. Because America is guilty. That's why it's being destroyed. Not because it's such a peaceful, free establishing country. It's guilty of crimes against the Lord's chosen people, the holy people, his saints. It says, woe unto him that giveth his neighbor, is verse 15. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, that putteth thy bottle to him, and maketh him drunken also, that thou mayst look on their nakedness. And that's what America, Edom, because America is ruled by one nation. Out of all the nations here, they're ruled by one nation, Edom. And Edom got this land by allowing wickedness and evil to flourish throughout the world. Evil multiplied when the Greeks came into power. The Bible tells you that in 1 Maccabees, the 1st chapter. Iniquities, evils multiplied. The world got more wicked when Edom came into power, because all of his customs he brings with him. When he introduces you to his money, his resources, his way of life, he also introduces you to wickedness. And that's likened unto giving your neighbor liquor, hard liquor, shots and shots and shots, just to get him drunk. Let's look at some of the, for instance, Iran's 1970 verse. Now, if you know the history of Iran, there was a revolution. Before the revolution in the 60s and 70s, Iran looked like America. Remember, America did a coup in Iran and put a fake leader. It was called the Shah, I believe. And they put a fake leader inside Iran and then changed their whole way of life. The women was, you wouldn't believe this is Iran. You would think it's England. The women was dressed in short shorts and tank tops and tube tops and belly shirts and bikinis, just like in America. They Americanized Iran in the 60s and 70s. And what happened after? Iran went back. Look at Afghanistan in the 60s. And look at Afghanistan in 2011. They got their women back in order when they exiled that fake puppet leader that America put in, and subsequently got rid of American standard, which is wicked, man. Why would you want your women to be like the rest of the women in the world? To be hoes, like American women. To be harlots. Why wouldn't you want them to defile a flower for nothing? For some dude that just gonna walk? Why would you want in your country what happened in America? Feminism and all that BS. The breakup of the family structure. And that's the drink, along with murder, along with vanity, along with Caesar Borgia and Edomite gods, or so-called white gods. That's what's being brought to these other nations that do business with America. Let's read on. And it says, woe to thee. So that's a destructive term, showing you that destruction is upon him that does these things, brings evil and makes their neighbor naked by bringing their, your bad vibes. All right. 16 says, thou art filled with shame for glory. So once again, America is notable as a country that, or Edom is known as a people that are mighty, strong through their sword. Look at all the achievements they've done. Look at all the lands they have conquered. The Lord's going to fill that glory with shame. The statues today that signify we took this land down. Every city, everywhere. They called the capital of the world Washington, D.C., after George Washington, who owned 200 or 400 slaves himself. So they gloried in that, and now shame is going to be filled where that glory used to be. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. So the Lord, he reigneth. in the kingdom of men. And he requires everything that has passed. When you look at what happened in our sake as nation of Israel, the Lord conquered us by weak, by, insolent nations, by discreditable nations, man. Heathen nations conquered us. Why? Because he reigneth in the kingdom of men. His will shall be done on earth. If you offend him and are proud and don't humble yourself and ask for forgiveness, he's going to shut you down. That's what he did to Israel. This is Ezekiel 21. Make sure I'm at 21. And where am I at? Slovakia. 25. And thou, profane, wicked prince of Israel, whose days is come, when iniquity shall be an end. So the Lord hates evil. He hates the iniquity. He hates when we go against his laws, his statutes, his commandments, which he gave us, the covenant. He hates that. He don't look down upon earth and smile. He's frustrated and angry with what he sees his people doing. Let's go right on. Thus saith the Lord power. Remove the diadem, which is ancient headband, if you will, with a royal headband that kings wore. It says, and take off thy crown. So the Lord stripped us of our rulership. This shall not be the same. Exalt him that is low and abase him that is high. So guess what? The Lord did us the way he's going to do America. He did us the way he's going to do our enemies, Edom. We went through that persecution. We went through the transatlantic slave trade. Gad and Reuben got slaughtered in Issachar, in all the natives, tribes of Americas who are Israelites got slaughtered for this land that you claim now. So all of these things is going to happen to you because the Lord requires the blood that was shed by him that sheddeth. So all these things is going to be flipped on our enemies. Yeah, it says Israel now, but it's going to refer to Edom very soon. The Lord's going to strip you of your crown and your diadem. He's going to exalt him that is low. That's going to be us. We're low at this point in time. So the Lord will exalt us and abase him that is high, our enemies, Edom. All right, and it's going to start with America. And that by way of thermonuclear war, your own creation, so to speak. Verse 27, I will overturn it. We all know what that means. And it shall be no more until he come whose right it is, and I will give it him. Who's that? Who's he that will come? And it's his right to rule in the earth? 𝐻𝐿. The Lord, 1 Corinthians 15, tells you that all things will be subdued under 𝐻𝐿, and 𝐻𝐿 will therefore place all things back to the Father. And that the order will be established on earth as it is in heaven. It says, and thou, son of man, prophesy. Yeah, that was it. So we can see how the Lord is going to judge our enemies. How he's constantly working on the minds of the leaders to do his will, which is turn against the beast. Turn against the whore. Eventually that's going to happen. Why? Proverbs 21:1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. We know that the leaders of the earth is plotting against America, and very soon they're going to act on that. Because America got to be brought low for its crimes, for its wickedness, for its evils, and it's only right. We went through it. Jeremiah 49:12, for thus saith the Lord, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken. Remember, that cup is affliction. And art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Like, you think you're going to get let off the hook? And I made the ones who wasn't supposed to get afflicted be afflicted? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. For I have sworn by myself, saith the Lord, that Basra, which is one of the capitals of Edom, shall become a desolation and destruction, a reproach, a waste, and a curse. What's curse? How is Edom going to become a curse? And what curses is this referring to? When you go into Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, verse 15 on down, you read about all the curses that came upon the nation of Israel for sinning against our power. Just read one verse, Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Cursed shall be in the city, cursed shall thou be in the field, cursed shall be thy basket and thy store, cursed shall be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land and the increase of thy kind and the flocks of thy sheep, cursed shall be thou when thou comest in, and cursed shall be thou when thou goest out. Just to name a few. The list goes on. These curses are going to be passed down to our enemies. Verse 13. I have sworn by myself, saith the Lord, that Basra shall become a desolation and a reproach, a waste and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be perpetual waste. The Lord's going to wipe this place out with nuclear missiles. I have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent unto the heathen, saying, gather ye together and come against her and rise up to battle. So the nations are going to turn, like in Revelation 17, against this whore. And then all the curses, and it's already starting to rise up. The curses of us that was put upon us is starting to come up off of us and be placed upon our enemies slowly and surely. This is Isaiah 14, because I read earlier, shame is going to be given for her glory. The glory of America is that she took down nations. The glory of America is that in Edom is that he slaughtered people to get what he needs, and nobody could stop him. That's his glory. He celebrates those days. Those are still holidays in America. President's Day, Columbus Day. Columbus was a straight up murderer, hands down. No issue with that. Isaiah 14:16. They that shall see thee, Salakia, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee. When you narrowly look upon them, you look upon them with contempt. You're looking down at them. It says, and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble? You see what you're known for? That's your glory. The main thing that the nation's going to remember Edom for, when he's in captivity, when he's brought low, when we're exalted and he's brought abased, is they're going to remember him because he made the earth to tremble that did shake kingdoms. How? Through his war. What did he do? Drop 2 bombs, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Killed over 100,000, 200,000 instantly. As time went on, more died because of the radiation. That made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof. That's what Esau's claim to fame is. Not his technology, his war. That opened not the house of the prisoners and his enslavement of people. All the kingdoms of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, everyone in his own house. So Edom is known and will always be known as the destructive force of the world. When you go into the beast, by the way, I just wanted to show this picture out. If you want more information on the beast, you go into the depiction that we have here. You know, you just Google GMS beast 10 horns and you'll see the picture, the image. But this is a quick article which I found. Just going to skim through it. Counting the dead, estimating the cost of the life, estimating the loss of life in the indigenous Holocaust from 1492 to the present. All right, this is from the University of Houston. And it's going into all the people that was tried to count how many was lost in the conquest of the Americas. It says at the turn of the 20th century, the total number of native inhabitants living in the entire Western Hemisphere had declined to 4.45 million. In 1800, only about 600,000 indigenous people remained, and indigenous people are, I don't care who out there telling you otherwise, all the rest of the tribes that was here before Judah, Benjamin, and Levi got here. So before the Southern Kingdom, the so-called Negroes got to this hemisphere, our people had already fled. The rest of the kingdom had already fled to this side of the world, as is written in 2nd Esdras. It says here, In 1800s, only about 600,000 remained. It says by 1900, indigenous population in this country reached its lowest point of about 237,000 people. Today, 70 million people live in indigenous people live in the Western Hemisphere. So they brought it down. The number was down in the 1900s to 237,000 that they could count up. It said in 1942 began early in the 20th century. It says in 1924, Paul Rivet estimated 40 and 50 million people lived in the hemisphere before indigenous holocaust began. As you go down, these numbers rise. This guy says 40, 50 million. This guy said 31 million. As you go down here, it's 2 years later, Henry Dobbins estimated the indigenous population of the hemisphere to be 90 million to 112 million. You go down, some say 43 to 72 million. This man says 72. You go down here, the following year, Dobbins revised his estimate significantly upward to 145 million. So now they're saying 145 million natives was here in this land before the conquest by Columbus and them. And it ended up being in the 1920s, 275,000. I'm going to finish it up with the last, I'm trying to look for the last paragraphs. So that's what happened, man. A complete slaughter happened on this soil. And who's to think, you about to be naive to think that they're going to get all away with all of that. And the Lord's just going to turn his back. It says, by any reckoning, the indigenous holocaust in the Western Hemisphere was, as Stannard has pointed out, the worst human holocaust the world had ever witnessed. No words or numbers can adequately convey the scale of the horror and tragedy involved in the greatest sustained loss of human life in history. Boom. That's all you need to hear. That's what Esau's glory is. So, verse 17, that made the world as a wilderness. How? By slaughtering. Gatling guns, smallpox, chemical warfare, biological warfare, disease warfare, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the houses of the prisoners. That's yet claim to fame, Esau. So yeah, you will pay. You'll pay with the curses being laid upon you. It's Daniel 7 and 18. Because the scripture read in Ezekiel 21 that the Lord that is going to be given, I have it right here, is going to be given back to him that, verse 27, I will overturn it, and it shall be no more until he comes whose right it is, Yahushua, and I will give it to him. So the Lord's going to just bring down Edom and lift up Israel. This is Daniel 7:18. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess it, possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. That's why we know it's going to be physical takedown. It's not going to be passed over. It's not going to be translated. Esau's not going to kneel down and bend over. The scripture says he shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome. So there's going to be a great war, intergalactic war. You people might not be ready, man. If you ain't been listening to the prophets of the Lord, you going to get caught off guard. The scriptures talk about, the strangeness of thy salvation. You going to be caught off guard. Then I would, verse 19, then I would know the truth of the fourth beast. The Roman Empire is the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns which were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. This is dealing with America. It says, I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. We just went into that war with the saints, the Lord's chosen people, the natives who were here, and then you go into slave trade. All you got to do now these days is type in slavery, and they know what you're talking about. Google already know. You ain't talking about the Indian, well, everybody was slave. You ain't talking about the Irish, this, that, and the third, which some of those are Israelites. Many Irish are our people. But slavery will be remembered as this, what happened to the Negroes here in America. because that was the Lord's, because that's the Lord's people. That's why. Daniel 7 and where am I at? 20. And the 10 horns that were in his head, I read that. Verse 21. And I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. So there's going to be a taking down of Edom. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, Roman Empire, and shall devour the earth, and shall tread it down, break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of the kingdoms are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and shall be diverse from the first, and shall do 3 kings. What does that mean? Well, when America was established first, there was the settlers here that came from UK, Great Britain. Great Britain itself was here. Then you had the Spaniards owned a portion of America, pretty much the central parts and the lower parts. It's like the left, all the way to the west of America, of the United States. Then you had the middle portion of the United States ran by the French. That's why you have cities like St. Louis or Louisiana. These are French names. California, Nevada, these are Spaniards' names. All right, and of course the English names is on the East Coast, like New York or whatever. And it says he shall subdue 3 kings. So America and this the ones already established here took down and fought. The American Revolution was between the Americans and Great Britain. French Revolution for that part of the American land, U.S. land, and then the French American War, and then the Spanish American War. That's how they subdued 3 kings. It says, and he shall speak great words against the Most High. America does that. How? They uplift homosexuality. Anything you do to be contrary to the laws that the Lord established to be on earth, that his will is to establish on earth eventually, well, you're speaking against the Most High. It's great words. You're telling the people that he doesn't exist. You're telling them that he's an Edomite, that he's got pale skin. You're lying on that. You're changing things up. You're switching them around. You're lying to the people. And shall wear out the saints of the Most High. Enslavement. And think that at one point, even after slavery was so-called abolished in 1865, but you got people, that's only 3 generations away. And you got people that even after slavery was abolished, years later they had the captured slave ships that were still transporting slaves. After the abolishment of the slave trade, even before the abolishment of slavery. Let's read on. It says, and shall wear the saints of the Most High, out the saints of the Most High, and to think to change times and laws. They do that, man, from your penal codes to your judicial system. All right, all the above, man. Times, your clocks, your count, your days of the weeks and all these things, your seasons, your leap years. It says, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of times. 250 years. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion and consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High. Those are Israelites, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all the dominions shall serve and obey him. That means we're going to have slaves. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations much trouble me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart. Right. 2nd Ezra 11 and 36. It says, Then I had a voice, means heard, which said unto me, Look before thee, and consider the thing that thou seest. And I beheld, and lo, as it were a roaring lion chased out of the wood. Where am I? That's not what I'm looking for. 2nd Ezra 11, right? Let me go down. Here we go. 38. Hear thou, I will walk with thee, and the highest shall say unto thee, Art not thou it that remainest of the four beasts? Remember the four beasts? It says, Whom I made to reign in my world, that the end of their times might come through them. So this is dealing with the Roman Empire, which has come back again as America, and along with the beast, which is NATO, and the 10 horns, which is EU. This is dealing with end time prophecy. All right, but as Ezra broke it down, and it was as feathers. It was as feathers of a bird. Let's see if I still got this up. It was as feathers as of an eagle. 12 feathers and 8 under feathers. These went back to the Roman emperors. All right, starting with Julius Caesar. All right, so it says, so it's speaking in reference to the Roman Empire come back again. Once the Roman Empire fell, it came back. That deadly wound was healed, and it came back and now flourishes through America. It says, and the fourth came and overcame all the beasts that were past, and had power. So the fourth beast, Rome, and had power over the world with great fearfulness, and over the whole compass of the earth, with much wicked oppression. When you look at the Roman Empire, did it have control over the whole compass of the world? Looks like it didn't, man. Obviously, it didn't. It didn't get to South Africa. Roman Empire didn't extend to the United States and America. Roman Empire didn't extend to Russia. Barely made it there. So it's talking about modern day Roman Empire, America and its allies. It says, and the fourth beast came and overcame all the beasts that were past, and had power over the world with great fearfulness, and over the whole compass of the earth, which with much wicked oppression, and so long time dwelt upon the earth with deceit, because of this lies. America war and lies go hand in hand when the Edom is ruling. All right, who you are, who we are, what time we're living in, is God real? You're gonna get all lies from Edom. For the earth has thou not judged with truth. That's the beast. No judgment, no truth. For thou hast afflicted the meek, thou hast hurt the peaceable. Gad and Reuben, the North American Seminole Indians, didn't do anything to you when you got here. They helped you. They traded with you. They showed you how to deal with the winter's plant in their region of land that you've never been to. And they helped you flourish, and then you signed treaties with them and slaughtered them as a result. Thou hast loved liars and destroyed dwellings of them that brought forth fruit, and hast cast down the walls of such as did thee no harm. What the hell did so-called Negroes do to you people? What the hell did we do to deserve what we went through in America? To you. What did we do to you, Edom? Okay? And it says nothing. You're guilty. It says, therefore is thy wrongful dealing come up unto the highest, and thy pride unto the mighty. The Lord is watching. He saw it all. Just like it's yesterday. A day to the Lord is 1,000 years to us. Slavery was just a few hours ago. To the Lord, to the Heavenly Father. The highest also hath looked upon the proud times, and behold, they are ended, and his abominations are fulfilled, meaning you're going down. America's going down. The blood that was shed here is going to be required by him that sheddeth it. You're going down. Thermonuclear war, get ready for it. First, they're going to establish their mark of the beast, RFID chip. You're going to see more insurrections. You're going to see more prophecies being fulfilled. The time of Jacob's trouble, great affliction like never before seen, is going to come to down on the people of the earth, especially Israelites that believe. But at the very end, if you sustain if the Lord sustains you, and you're going to see the downfall of your enemy. He's not going to make it. America ain't going to make it. It says they are ended and his abominations are fulfilled, and therefore appear no more, thou eagle, nor thy horrible wings, nor thy wicked feathers, nor thy malicious heads, for thy hurtful claws, nor all thy vain body, meaning your military, your army, your senate, this court, that court, your legislates, your magistrates, your parliaments, your orders, your mountaintops, your summit meetings, your armies, your troops, your navy men, your seamen. All of that vain body that's a part of you, and the hurtful claws and malicious heads, everything that makes up your power structure is going to be no more. That all the earth may be refreshed. You see what happens when you're put out? You see why we want you out? You see why getting rid of you is the cure? It may return, being delivered from thy violence, and that she may hope for the judgment and mercy of him that made her. And that's the conclusion here of the matter. The whole matter is that the Lord's going to pay back our enemies, period. Now, it was more I could have got into, but I'm not going to do it. But I got this here. So this is the 12 feathers. If you end up going into that chapter, 12 feathers. Okay. And this is the 8 under feathers, all dealing with the Roman Empire. All right. And for the sake of time, I'm just going to cut it here. Lord willing, this video is edifying as always. Call her Lord �H𝐌𝐈𝐓𝐄𝐒. Shalom.